They taped my photo on the office wall with a label that said, "Terminated for eating at her desk. Do not rehire." I didn't argue. I just smiled, because I already knew what they didn't. Their HR department was about to collapse from the inside. If you've ever been humiliated, fired unfairly, or treated like dirt at work, this story will hit deep. Hit that like button, subscribe for more true-style revenge stories, and get ready to hear how I turned one of the pettiest office firings in history into the downfall of an entire HR department. My name is Ryan Cooper, and until a few months ago, I worked as a mid-level data analyst for a large insurance firm in Chicago. It wasn't glamorous, spreadsheets, compliance reports, risk models, but I took pride in my work. I was punctual, detail-oriented, and respected by my coworkers. That is, until the day I became a joke taped to the breakroom wall. You see, our new HR manager, Pamela, came in from corporate, all polished smiles and policy enforcement. She loved control. Every week she'd send out new memos about maintaining professionalism, banning coffee mugs with personal slogans, even inspecting desks for clutter. We laughed at first. But soon, it wasn't funny anymore. It started with an email. Effective immediately, eating at desks is prohibited. Please use designated break areas. Violators will face disciplinary action. The reason? Pamela claimed desk eating attracted ants. But everyone knew the truth, she wanted power. I was juggling 2 projects at once, trying to meet impossible deadlines, and one afternoon, I barely had 5 minutes for lunch. So, I did what most people do, I unwrapped a turkey sandwich at my desk, quietly working through it. I didn't even notice her shadow behind me until it was too late. Pamela stood there, arms crossed, her lips curling into that fake corporate smile. "Ryan," she said in a syrupy tone, "we've talked about this, haven't we?" I apologized immediately. Told her I was just finishing up and it wouldn't happen again. But she didn't move. She took out her phone, snapped a photo of me mid-bite, and said, "Company policy is company policy." That photo would later end up taped to the HR bulletin board. The next morning, I was called into HR. Pamela sat there with her clipboard, next to the director of operations, Mark Dyer, a man who barely knew my name. Pamela said, "Ryan, after multiple reminders about office policy violations, we have decided to terminate your employment effective immediately." I stared at her. "Multiple violations?" I asked. She smirked. "We have photos. And incident reports." I knew what was happening. Pamela was building her reputation as a disciplinarian. My firing would be her badge of honor. As security escorted me out, I walked past the HR board and saw it, my photo, taped next to a sign that read, "Terminated for eating at his desk, do not rehire." The laughter from a few coworkers echoed in my head. That day, something inside me snapped. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I just walked out quietly, planning. I spent the next week at home, oscillating between rage and humiliation. My daughter, Emma, asked why I was home so early every day. I told her I was on vacation. But inside, I was burning. Then one evening, while cleaning my laptop bag, I realized something. I still had my old USB backup drive from work. It contained several financial audit files, policy change logs, and employee termination reports that I had worked on before being fired. I didn't intend to keep them maliciously, they were just part of ongoing analysis projects. But when I opened them, one detail jumped out. Pamela had manipulated internal audit data. The cleanliness inspection logs she claimed to have done weekly. They didn't exist before she was hired. She had backdated multiple documents to make it look like she'd been improving compliance, essentially faking results to justify her position. It hit me that I reached out to a former coworker, Janelle, from internal IT. She hated Pamela's guts more than anyone. I asked her, hypothetically, if someone had falsified records, how would the system logs show it? She laughed. Oh, easy. The timestamps never lie. Even if she changed the documents, the system stores the original edit metadata in the backup server. That was all I needed. Janelle didn't know I had access logs from my old analysis project. I compared timestamps and found dozens of entries showing Pamela's edits happening weeks before she was even hired. It was airtight. But I didn't rush. I built a clean report, formatted, timestamped, cited from the company's own logs. And then I sent it, anonymously, to corporate HR, the compliance division, and, most importantly, the state labor board. If I could prove this, I could not only clear my name but destroy hers. 2 weeks later, the dominoes started falling. The company was audited. The HR department was suspended pending investigation. I heard from Janelle that Pamela had a full-on meltdown during the first meeting. She tried to accuse me of data theft, but since the emails were sent anonymously and the evidence was verifiable from internal systems, her words meant nothing. The audit confirmed everything. She had falsified over 30 reports, fabricated policy violations, and unjustly terminated 4 other employees. The company fired her, with cause, and filed an internal ethics report that effectively blacklisted her in the entire industry. As for me, a few weeks later, I received a call from Mark Dyer, the same director who sat silently as I was humiliated. He sounded nervous. "Ryan, we'd like to offer you your position back. Full back pay. And an apology from corporate." I declined. Instead, I told him something I'd waited weeks to say. "Tell Pamela thanks. She taught me what happens when you tape the wrong person's photo on the wall." I moved on, started freelancing, consulting for smaller firms where respect still meant something. And one day, while scrolling LinkedIn, I saw Pamela's profile. Open to work. No recommendations. No employment history after that year. I won't lie, I smiled. Revenge doesn't always need shouting or chaos. Sometimes, it's as quiet as watching karma do its job. If there's one thing I learned, it's that silence is the sharpest weapon. When someone humiliates you publicly, don't fight back with anger. Fight back with proof. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button, drop a comment with your favorite moment of justice, and don't forget to subscribe for more true-style revenge stories every week. Because sometimes, karma just needs a little help.